Welcome to this OpenEye video tutorial. Today we will be reviewing how to best utilize sensors in conjunction with your Apex recorder, cameras, and OWS. While OpenEye has direct integrations for many third-party devices, the use of I/O sensor-type devices can often provide the valuable alert information you require without the need for a direct integration. There's lots of great information to cover, so let's get started. Let's review the objectives for today's overview. We will start by discussing how to set up a sensor device in OWS after connecting it to the Apex recorder or properly equipped camera. Next, we will review the numerous uses and applications provided by sensor-type devices. After discussing use cases, we will demonstrate how to set up sensor alerts in OWS and review the various ways to receive and review these alerts. And finally, we will provide a live demonstration adding sensors and creating alert rules for them. Setting up and enabling sensors via OWS is easy to do. After logging into the recorder, you can select the settings gear in the upper right to access the recorder settings and set up the sensors. Select Sensor Relay on the left menu. You can then enable and name the sensor on the recorder. You can also define the I/O device as normally open or closed, as well as associate a camera to the sensor and adjust the image offset. Next, let's discuss how to set up a sensor to connect directly to a camera. From the main menu on the left, select Cameras, and then select the appropriate camera from the list. From the General tab, select the IP addresses shown. This will invoke CameraLink. CameraLink allows the user to directly access the camera without the need of rolling a truck or maintaining a separate VPN. Enter the username and password to the camera, and then select Login as shown. After successfully logging in, select Setup at the top of the screen as shown to enter the setup menus of the camera. Select Event Settings from the menu on the left. Then select the submenu called Alarms. Next, select Alarm Input from the tabs at the top of the screen as shown. Then select the alarm input from the drop-down box as shown. Next, provide a name for the input, have it reflect a device, garage door for example. Enter a numeric ID. Define the input state as normally open or normally closed. And be sure to enable the input or it simply won't function. Select Save when complete. You have now set up and enabled the input on the camera. Now, let's discuss various sensor devices and the various uses one can apply to the device. It's important to understand that many times a direct integration with a device isn't necessary. Using the simplicity of I/O signals can deliver very powerful information. Let's examine some great uses for sensor devices. A simple door contact as shown here can be applied to any entry or exit door. You can also use the same simple sensor on a safe door. Here's some direct use case examples. Track every time an entry door is opened or closed. Track every time a safe door is opened or closed. Receive alerts whenever a door is open longer than a predetermined amount of time. Receive alerts whenever a safe door is open longer than a predetermined amount of time. Know when a door is opened outside of operating hours. Verify that a predetermined number of safe drops are occurring on a daily basis. So as you can see, a very simple door contact has multiple uses and requires no direct integration. Using a simple button as shown is a powerful way to monitor operational requirements. For example, You can use a simple button to mark the time when a task is performed, like cleaning the grill or meat slicer. You can also have product delivery persons press the button before beginning to stock product and before they leave. Simply marking time with an I/O device can be related to numerous operational needs for tracking and enforcing policy. Here are some uses when applying a smart button to both the grill, fryer, and meat slicer. Push the button before cleaning the grill. Push the button before cleaning the meat slicer. Push the button before changing the oil in the fryer. Be sure operational policies are being followed. If you require the meat slicer to be cleaned 3 times a day, you should receive 3 alerts to that effect. Similar counts can be reviewed for other tasks like cleaning the grill. Because you have marked the video when the event happens, you can also make sure associated policies are being followed. For example, not only can you verify the meat slicer was cleaned, you can also watch to make sure metal gloves were worn during the cleaning. There are very sophisticated temperature devices available. Each typically requires a direct integration. There are, however, very accurate I/O temperature devices that will trigger a pulse when the temperature goes above or below a threshold. For walk-in coolers and freezers, this is a great addition. You can receive an alert when the temperature deviates and then use the video verification to see what is going on. Perhaps there's a delivery going on and the door is open to allow for it. Or perhaps the door simply wasn't closed all the way. Either situation allows you to protect your inventory from unnecessary loss. You could also incorporate door sensors here as well to know when people are entering or exiting the coolers and freezers. Here's some alerts that can be generated for coolers and freezers. High temp warning in the cooler. High temp warning in the freezer. Low temp warning in the cooler and in the freezer. Entry or exit from the cooler or entry or exit from the freezer. With the I/O sensor devices properly configured, it is now time to build alerts for the event information. From the Customer tab, notice the blue banner bar, select Alerts and then Alert Rules as shown. To create a new alert, select Add New Alert as shown here to start the Alert Rules wizard. Next, select the alert type, in this case, Sensor Alerts. Then select Next to continue. Enter a title and a description for the alert, and then select Create. Rule definitions are first. Define the timing of the alert. What we see here is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week schedule for the alert. You can create custom schedules to accommodate when the alert is enabled. You can choose to make this an active alert. Active alerts have their own landing page in OWS, and the email and push notifications will both contain the phrase Active Alert. Select Save when complete. Next, select Sensors from the menu on the left and then select Add Sensor as shown. Select the sensor to be alerted on and then select Add to continue. The newly added sensor will be displayed as shown here. Next, select Users and Notifications from the menu on the left. You can then add users and define how they are to receive the alert. You can add both individual users and user groups to the alert rule. After that, select General Info from the menu on the left. You will be taken back to where you started. Review the name and description for the rule. As a best practice, work your way back up the menu and review your work. Now that we've created the alert rules for the sensor devices, let's look at how we can receive the alerts. The first way to receive the alerts is through mobile push notifications. You receive a notification, then you decide if you want to watch the video based on the snapshot, and then watch the associated footage using the playback features in the OpenEye mobile app. Another way to receive sensor alerts is via email notification. Simply open the email and then select View Video to be directed to the associated recorded video. The alert on the right lets us know that the meat slicer was being cleaned. Looking at the video also allows us to see that the employee is wearing steel gloves, which is required. So one alert helps us verify that 2 operational policies are being followed. Again, something as simple as a smart button can provide much needed feedback with respect to internal policies and how well they are being followed. Alert history is another way to review your alerts while signed into OWS. To access alert history, select Alert and then select Alert History as shown. You can then hover over the camera icon next to each alert to see the associated snapshot. You can select View next to any alert to play the associated video. Simply press the play icon to begin playback of the alerted video. Now that we have discussed the use of sensor devices to provide actionable alerts, let's take a look at how to set up sensors, build alerts, and view them during a live presentation. Okay, now that we've signed into OWS and we've selected our customer, we're taken to the customer portion of the portal. Alright, you can see at the top that the blue banner bar lets us know we're in the customer portion of the portal. So here's the recorder associated with that customer. Now our objective is we're going to connect to this recorder and we're going to go ahead and set up a sensor that is connected directly to the recorder, and we're also going to show how to set up a sensor that's connected directly to the camera. Once we finish that, we'll go build some alert rules for sensors. All right, and then when we're done with that, we'll take a look at some of the alerts that can come when a sensor device is triggered. So let's start by connecting to the recorder, and that's going to bring us right in. And then what we want to do is we want to go here to the upper right to the settings gear, and we want to go into settings. All right, now when you want to enable sensors, you come down here to sensors and relays, and those will all be shown. If you notice, up here at the top, I've already gone ahead and enabled one of these sensors. Now this is an onboard sensor that is on the recorder. So as we discussed during the PowerPoint portion of our presentation, you want to make sure you enable that. All right, give it a name that really corresponds to what the sensor is for. All right, you can see here these are generic names of the actual onboard sensors. I converted this to garage door. All right, every time that garage door goes up, we're going to get an alert because we have a simple door contact on the garage door. Okay, its current state is open. All right, it's normally closed. Okay, you can set all of those. You can also set the camera that's associated with it. In this case, it was from Garage Bay 1. And then the image offset. So the image offset says I would like the snapshot that comes from this alert to be 1 second prior to it actually happening, or 1 second after. You can dial these in. This is how I'd like this to be set. So that's how easy it is to enable the sensor on the back of the recorder once you've made that physical 2-wire connection. All right, so it's very simple to do. Now, what you'll see here is we also have some sensors that are embedded in the cameras. All right, so I have a Garage Bay 1, I have a Garage Bay 2. Okay, and you can see that, yeah, I can go ahead and enable that device now, but I don't have any controls over the settings. So what's its default state? Is it normally open, normally closed? What do we want to call it? Certainly we can go ahead and associate a camera with it, but it's coming from the camera to begin with. So here's how this works. We're going to want to enable this. All right, let's assume we want to do this directly to the camera on Garage Bay 1. I can go ahead and enable this. I can even select the camera of Garage Bay 1 to go with it. All right, and I can save that. Now, what we really need to do though is, because the input-output device is tying directly to the camera, we have to go into the camera settings to make sure that everything is set up properly. So these kind of settings that we did here when we're connected directly to the recorder, we have to do the same thing at the camera level if the sensor device is actually physically connected to the camera. Okay, so to do that, we're just going to press cameras. All right, and then we're going to go into that camera. Now, basic settings through OWS are all available here. To go deeper into the camera, we have to access it directly. All right? And to do that, what we want to do is say IP address right here. This is a feature called Camera Link. This allows us remotely to access the settings within the camera without the use of a separate VPN or rolling a truck. And you can get to those settings, okay, connect directly to camera from the live recording, from the image settings, etc. And here on General, it's an IP address. When you click this, it brings you right into the camera, and you can log in. All right, so now we're inside of the camera, and all I have to do is go into my setups. All right, and we talked about this briefly when we were doing the PowerPoint portion of the presentation. But we want to go into event settings and then alarms. Okay, and then we have the alarm input. So these are the inputs on the camera. So you can see I've already selected the input from the drop down. We gave this a name. This could be garage door 1, garage door 2. Gave it an ID. We told it was a normally open, okay, or normally closed, whichever that's going to be. All right, in this case, probably normally closed. And then you can go ahead and enable that alarm input. Once you've done that and you've saved that, then those settings are now there. So if we go back to, and I close this out, and we go back to our sensor and relay settings, we can now know that we've enabled this, and everything that we've set in the background will now happen. So the normally open, normally closed, all that kind. It's all set. So very simply, we've now taken a device that was connected directly to the Apex recorder, and we've gone ahead and enabled its sensors. And we've done the same for a sensor device that's connected directly to a camera, and we've gone ahead and set that up as well. So very straightforward, and that's how we go ahead and set up the sensors. All right. So the next thing that we really want to discuss is how do we build the alerts for these sensor events, and we'll take a look at that next. So let's go up here to the top, and we'll go back one breadcrumb. All right, and we'll be back to our customer portion of the portal where we're showing their recorder. All right. Now what we want to do now, as we said, is we want to go ahead and build an alert for one of these sensors. So very simple to do. We're going to go over here to alerts and then go to alert rules. Once the alert rules pop up, then what we'll want to do is we'll want to say add new rule. All right. Then you are taken into the alerts wizard screen. So the first thing it's going to want to know is what kind of alert is this? Well, we're building sensor alerts today. So selecting the sensor alert, and then we select next. We want to give this a name. So let's just say this is the garage door opening. All right, and garage door sensor alert. Okay, so we'll give it a nice title and a nice description. We'll say create. Now, the first thing it's going to want to know is what do we want as far as timing goes. Okay, right now, if that sensor is open for 5 seconds or longer, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's going to provide the alert. All right. For our discussions, I'm going to take that down to 2 seconds because I just want to know if this thing's engaged at all. And then we will leave it on 24/7. Now, if we wanted to make this a different time frame, we could very easily do that by simply removing a day. Maybe on weekends we don't want to know about this, or maybe all we want to know is weekends, okay? And we can take our weekdays out as well. One of the other things that you can do is you can always go ahead, and over here on the right is hit the plus bar, and go ahead and add in a second set or a third set of timing. So we may want to get these alerts 24 hours a day on weekends, but on weekdays maybe only from 9 a.m. to noon. Right? So it's very easy to build those scenarios out. All right, so we're going to leave this at a 24/7. The next thing we want to know is, hey, do we want this to be tied into any type of alarm panel integration? In this case, a DMP alarm panel. So we do have the ability to integrate with DMP alarm panels, in so much that you can go ahead and set your schedule, but you can also say only send this alert if the panel is armed, or only if it's disarmed, or either state. So this is a nice additional feature if you do have an integration to any of the DMP alarm panels, the XR and the XT series. You can go ahead and utilize that feature. The next thing down below is called active alerts. Now with an active alert, if we were to check this,
This would put it on its own landing page up here under Active Alerts, so you'd be able to find those alerts very easily. Also, any email or mobile push notification that goes out will have the word active in there, so you can sort and know that these are more important type of alerts. All right, for this example, this is not an active alert. This is just a simple sensor on the garage door when it goes up or down. Okay, so what I want to do next is say save. All right, we want to make sure we've saved this page. And then what we'll do is we work our way down this left-hand menu. So we'll go to sensors next. So we're going to want to add a sensor. Here's the two sensors, all right, that we enabled earlier. Here's the one that's physically on the camera, and here's the one that's on the back of the recorder. I'm going to use the one on the back of the recorder. That's the one we set up for the garage door. So we're going to go ahead and say add. All right, that's now added. We could remove it if we want, okay, and add more if we wish. All right, so we've got our sensor on there. And then the next thing we want to do is go down here to users and notifications. So because I've built this alert, I've been added to it, okay, and what we can say is, yes, when this alert happens, I'd like to receive an email and a push notification. I can also add other users from within my company, or I could add user groups. So maybe I want to have all of my internal support people receive this as well. So I can go ahead and add that, and maybe I want them to get a push notification every time that that sensor is alerted on. So very straightforward, but that's how you do it. So who is to receive the alert and how are they to receive it? Once that's done, you can go down here to the left to General Info, and this is where we started. Here's where we name this and describe this alert. As a best practice, work your way back up the menus on the left to check your work. Once you're done, then you can rest easy knowing that you have set that alert up properly. And that's how easy it is to set up an alert for a sensor type event. So now let's go ahead and take a look how we can receive and view these alerts while we're logged into OWS. Let's go up to Alerts and go to Alert History. Okay, this is the Alert History page. So this will now populate with all the various alerts that I have. You'll see I have some motion from the front driveway, and then if we go down, here's our sensors. Okay, so these can be filtered. First of all, we can go over here and we can filter these. All right, so we could actually filter these to just the sensor alerts, for example. Okay, and there's our sensor alerts. Okay, and once we've got those filtered, we can hover over these cameras, and that's going to show you a snapshot of the video. So you can see this was the garage door being opened. So if we wanted to go further and take a look at the clip, we just go over here to View, and from there we can actually go ahead into Playback, play back this event. We can acknowledge this, like, hey, I've looked at this. All right, and we can put some notes on here. Looking into the door opening. Okay, whatever you want to do there. And this is how you could communicate back and forth with your colleagues if you really wanted to investigate some type of an event or an alert. All right, if I save these and then I go back to the previous page, okay, what we'll see is when my alerts populate, you'll now see there's the comment, okay, looking into this. And you'll see that it was me who did it. So you'll see that there's some activity on that. All right, so that's a great way, once you're in OWS, to work with your alerts, okay? And once you obviously go into playback, then you can do your exporting and share your video, all the other great things that OWS affords you, all right? But that's one of the ways that you can get to your alerts is through Alert History right here within OWS. So the next thing we want to take a look at are the email notifications. So let's look at those next. So this is an email notification. All right, this is what we would receive for the sensor activation. So when that dry contact was activated and the garage door was going up, this is another way we can receive the alert, is through an email notification. You'll notice we get a snapshot of what was going on, and then based on what we see here, we can choose to look at the video or not. So if we select View Video, this is going to go ahead and connect to the recorder, and then it's going to put us right into the playback screen where we can go ahead and take a look at the playback. So this is going to connect, and here we can see we can go ahead and play back just like normal. Okay, so this is very straightforward, but this is another way to drive from an alert right into the video so that you get video verification of actionable alerts. It's very straightforward. All right, so that's how the email piece works. The next piece that we want to take a look at is the mobile application and the mobile push notifications. So let's take a look at that next.
Okay, so we're taking a look at a mobile push notification now after a sensor has been activated. Okay, and you can see we have a nice snapshot of it. Okay, if we want to go into view, there's our snapshot. And if we'd like to view the video, all we have to do is hit view video. It will open up the OpenEye mobile app and go right into the playback. All right, once inside, we can go forwards, backwards, zoom around, anything we want to do. Very straightforward. So that's how easy it is to receive an alert on your mobile and play back the associated video.
This concludes this video tutorial. If you have questions, please contact training@openeye.net. Join us again for more interesting videos from OpenEye, the cloud video platform.